Hello, and welcome to Pressing Buttons. I'm Hugo,
I'm Nick.
and it's great to be here. Another great week, another great episode coming at you. And yeah.
That's it.
Good way to, yeah, that's
did,
it. Yeah.
You did the catchphrase.
Good way to
Yeah.
start. Good way to start. We're just going to dive right in. We don't have any housekeeping to take care of, so we're just going to dive right into some video game news. First thing we want to talk about this week is Final Fantasy XVI. As a lot of you have probably seen, a lot of journalists and video game outlets have gotten preview builds for the game. There's a demo going to be released in a couple weeks. Don't know the exact time frame, but keep a lookout for that.
No, a few weeks before the game launches.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a couple months away.
So it's still a couple months away.
Yeah.
But everything that we've seen in terms of YouTube videos, in terms of any writing that they're showing it, they're enjoying the game. The game looks great. We get to see, for at least from the videos that I've seen, I've been able to see Clive fighting one of the icons, and then he himself turning into an icon or an icon. I still don't know what they're saying.
I don't know.
I think it's icon.
I'll go back and forth on that 40 times before I finally remember the right way to say it.
I think it's icon, but they spell it with an E, so I'm used to.
Yeah, I think it's icon.
Yeah, so which is another big part of the system that they're going for with this new entry. You also see that Clive himself is in a one-man party system. So, like they had said before, it looks like you'll just be experiencing the story through Clive, and there's not going to be a big party like you used to have where you had 2 or 3 characters that worked with you and battled with you. And gone are the days of the turn-based action. Now it's just straight-up action. So...
Devil May Cry action.
Yeah,
specifically.
So we'll see how that turns out when we get more of the game and at least play the demo. I know a lot of people were a little bit upset. They want that regular Final Fantasy feel of it. They want that turn-based RPG. They want that whole party system. And this is definitely a complete 180 of the battle system. So I do have confidence in the production team, especially Yoshi P. I think he's doing a good job in terms of communicating why he did it and what he wants out of this new entry. I think that's what makes all these Final Fantasy series, well, Final Fantasy as a whole, what makes them really good is that each series you could say is very unique, and they incorporate like their own style into it. So I'm happy for that. What about you? What do you think of the previews that you've seen?
It looks great. Yeah, I think I don't think it should be that surprising that it's not turn-based because they had already gone down that path with Final Fantasy 15, and also just the Final Fantasy 7 remake, which I thought was, I don't know if I have like a favorite Final Fantasy, but like that's certainly up there. Like that game was just like awesome to play. So I don't know. Like I know some people are maybe a little disappointed that it's not more of a traditional turn-based game, but I think that's just kind of makes sense and is the trend. I think if you want the more like classic traditional, they'll just be like either spin-off franchises that are Final Fantasy, or I think in Dragon Quest that's still a thing. Although I think maybe they might change that up with the next Dragon Quest game. So maybe I don't know. Maybe it might get tougher to find turn-based games. But I thought it looked great. I mean, it's basically. It looks a lot like Devil May Cry, but with a Final Fantasy skin on top of it. I thought it looked great. I guess for story reasons they're called icons, but to me it's like
it's a summon.
He's basically a summoner. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's a pretty cool twist where it's, and again maybe they end up kind of switching this around and it's a bit of a bait and switch. But from what we understand now, it's Clive and then a series of summons
that are also people.
Yeah, and that are also people, and you can kind of think of like the summons are his party members, but so I don't know. I think that could play out pretty well. But yeah, the combat looks great. I think the music is like so good. I don't know if you know.
Oh yeah,
like,
especially
just like with the bat, like it just looks. I know it's like kind of a cliche word, but like it actually looks like epic. Like everything that's going on. So yeah, I'm very, very excited. I have faith in Yoshi P, and kind of, I don't know, maybe reset is too strong of a word, but I feel like the Final Fantasy mainline franchise like has kind of been dwindling a bit, and really Final Fantasy 14 Online has been like the crown jewel of Final Fantasy for some time now. Maybe again for me, with the exception being Final Fantasy 7 Remake, but so I'm looking forward to his take on the mainline franchise, and yeah.
Well, no, I totally agree with you, especially in terms of, like you said, going back to the roots. Lately, a lot of the Final Fantasies have been kind of focused in like the future, I would say, or just like futuristic worlds and stuff like that. Whereas this is going all medieval, so it is kind of going back to the roots of the knights and all that stuff. So I'm excited. Like we said, there hasn't been a mainline regular Final Fantasy single player in a while, so we're excited to get back into it. So
Yeah.
June 22nd. Don't skip out on that date.
Yeah, and there's been a bunch of interesting anecdotes that have come out through, they're basically doing like a heavy media tour and press push right now. And so Yoshi P is doing lots of interviews and getting asked a ton of questions. And I thought, I mean, there's a lot of different things that we could talk about, but the one that resonated with me was, and I can't remember the exact question, but it was his response was basically talking about like how silly it is with like some of these like mini games that have been in Final Fantasy, and he specifically called out like Blitzball of just like the world's ending, you have something important to do, and just like how kind of ridiculous it is to be like, okay, well, let me get in a few matches of Blitzball and before I take care of that. So
you gotta release some stress while you're saving the world, man.
Yeah. So I always, I get that it's a game and it's maybe fine, but I always had that in the back of my mind with a lot of these RPGs, with some of these like mini games, and how, in context of the story, like how completely ridiculous they are. So, but according to him, like I think he's, not to say that there's not going to be like any of those types of things, but it seems like those are going to be like de-emphasized, and it's really just going to be, most of the side quests will be more kind of like digging in deeper to side characters and things like that. So but I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, hopefully they do keep some in there, at least for the fans of it. They don't really have to go hard, but
it's just that all those mini games are in Final Fantasy 14, so
no, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Go play. Basically, saying go play Final Fantasy 14.
I think he's like indirectly saying subscribe to Final Fantasy 14.
Well, might have to start up that subscription again.
Start it back up again.
All right, next thing we want to talk about, Resident Evil 4 Remake. We got the March 24 release, so it releases this month. Everything we've seen from this looks really freaking great. The graphics look amazing. The combat looks amazing. Obviously, we know there's going to be extra quests from the original, that they added more dialogue with the characters. You get more backstory. You get more of some characters that you didn't see enough of. So it's looking pretty good, especially the combat. Definitely excited for this one. It's one of those, I think, remake remasters that pushes the original to another level in terms of just adding new features and reintroducing it to everybody, old and new, and it's going to help Capcom a lot. Obviously, they also announced that they're going to be doing some sort of direct next week on the 9th or 10th, I believe. So we'll get coverage on that and see. They said they're gonna talk about Resident Evil, Exo Primal, and some other stuff. I don't remember off the top of my head, but we're definitely going to be checking that out. But like I said, Resident Evil 4 Remake, especially with the last couple of remake remasters that they've released, some have been good, some have been bad. Obviously with the Dead Space one, that was a good one, even so good that EA is asking people if they want a 2 and 3 Dead Space remake, so we'll see about that. Definitely I can kind of see, especially with Capcom making so many remakes of Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and now this one, where they can push it. Maybe, I don't know if they'll necessarily make 5 or 6. 6 was badly received, and 5 was its own thing. So
yeah, those weren't great. So we'll see. I would think they probably just stick with RE4 and then kind of
move on. They do need to kind of move on.
I need Code Veronica.
Yeah.
I'm on, I know most people don't like that one, but that has a special place in my heart because that was on Dreamcast.
Well, in this day and age, I think it could be done. I just do think, especially with them focusing on first person and telling the Ethan Winters story in Resident Evil 7 and 8, I think they did say that it is kind of like their last foray into the first person, and they kind of want to go back into third person action. And I do want them to kind of come back and bring it back to the Umbrella Corp zombie thing as opposed to these weird monsters that we've been getting lately. It still ties to like Umbrella Corp, but it's not directly Umbrella Corp. So who knows what we'll see at this Capcom thing. But obviously talking about the remake for, are you super excited? I mean, I know you're not a big horror guy, but this is more action than horror, I would say.
Yeah, no, I think this is a good mix for me. I think I mentioned before I've purchased Resident Evil 4 at least twice, maybe 3 times. Generally what happens is I get the game and I play it for a couple hours, and then like I like it, but like I don't know what happens, but I just end up not playing it further. So what's cool for me is like this is basically like a brand new game. So I actually haven't really been. I looked at a little bit of the footage, but there was a lot of gameplay footage that they've been showing. I didn't really focus on it that much because I'm trying to go in as much as possible with like, you know, a clean slate. So it looks really good. I'll be getting it. I'll be getting it on PC at launch is my current plan. And yeah, I'll probably be going on a media blackout now.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean that's the good thing about these remakes. I mean, for you played at least a little bit, but for everybody who hasn't played them, it'll be great to experience. And everybody who has played them will definitely provide a big push for everybody who hasn't, and for themselves to get the game again. Because it's one thing about gamers, they do love buying the same games over and over in different iterations. So
yeah, hopefully I just have to buy this once on Steam and that's it. But
it'll be with you forever.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
All right, next thing we want to talk about, and it's one of our favorite things that we want to talk about, is some Elden Ring, baby. As you know, if you've been with us since the start of the podcast, it was mostly an Elden Ring podcast. Last year, we did focus a lot on Elden Ring, and obviously, because it was a great game, it did win Game of the Year at the Game Awards, and just it received a lot of accolades, and just it was a great game overall, man. So many intertwining stories, so many characters, great game. They announced that they're gonna have some DLC called Shadow of the Earth Tree. That's gonna looks like to be focusing on Miquella, who's sibling of Malenia, the Blade. Which, if you fought Malenia, she was one tough cookie. I think she was the hardest boss in the game.
Yeah.
There was also that
definitely top, like easily top 5.
Yeah, there was also that dude that turned into a dog. I don't know if you fought that guy at the end. I forget his name. From Software has a lot of weird names for their characters, so I always get them confused and lose track of them all.
That was when I guess they dropped this tweet at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
So like I just kind of woke up to there being an official announcement of DLC, and then the only other than the name of the DLC, there was an image, and so like, let me look at this image, and you can clearly see that there's like a person, and is it riding the same? Is it the mount?
No, it's like
a different mount.
It's a different mount.
Okay. But you can clearly see a person, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I kind of remember that person, but I had to like look it up, and there's just like so many characters that start with the letter M, and so I definitely need to do some research on that.
All good characters, just very confusing.
Yeah, it's like it's so hard to remember all this stuff. So, but yeah, no, that's exciting. I mean, we got basically no details, but if anything, it's just kind of confirming what everyone suspected, that there was going to be some pretty meaty DLC for this title. So, and I kind of feel like it'll be like next year.
Yeah, especially because they're working on Armored Core, Fires of Rubicon.
Yeah.
My main thing from this is, and what I would want to know at least is, like, Elden Ring being such a expansive open world game, are they gonna stick to that and kind of just make another big open world area, or will they go smaller and kind of just put one area? And if they do, I think that kind of is a bit of a letdown, because now I'm so used to the Elden Ring world just being this expansive world, but also how can you put such a heavy-sized DLC out? Do you think that they're gonna expand and make a bigger area, or do you think it'll be kind of focused on another?
Yeah, I don't think their objective will just be like making the world bigger. I think it'll be like more focused, and they'll just go kind of like deeper and weirder and things like that. I'm trying to remember there was an Oblivion, I think it was an Oblivion DLC. It's like something Shivering Isles or
Shivering Isles,
something like that. And to me, like, I think that's like a good model where, you know, Oblivion's like a big open world, but then they kind of had this like little island area with like a lot of.
Well, it's like when you go for those that have played Elden Ring, when you go like down in the underground where you're under the main world, but it looks like you're in the galaxy. You can see the galaxies or whatever, the stars and all that stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
it's probably like
I
that.
think that's kind of like what I have in mind.
Yeah, but you know, from their track record, we always know they create good DLC with more character information, even though we'll probably be lost anyways, and good environment. So we're super excited for this. Hopefully it does get released sooner rather than later, but they have been busy. They have a lot on their plate, so it'll probably be next year.
Yeah, I think I don't really have a good read on Dark Souls DLC, or really like any From Software games, because I was kind of like late to the party. So like I didn't really get around to those games until they'd already been out and with all the DLC already in. So I can't. Yeah. I don't have like a good sense of like what how, incrementally was added because it was just kind of like all there already. Yeah. So this will be my first time going through like a proper From Software. Like I've beaten the game. I'm waiting on the DLC. Yeah. What gets added to it, and is that something to get excited about? I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think from my own experience, I think they've always knocked it out of the park, and it does seem to be more area focused, but it's enough where it's not like you're just beating it in like 1 or 2 hours. Like it's a good extended piece of DLC. So I have all the faith in them, and can't wait to play this.
I think I was at like somewhere between like 120, 130 hours on Elden Ring.
Same. So
for, you know, just kind of ballpark, like I would probably expect the DLC to be like to at least be probably like 20 to 30.
Yeah. So just stay focused, and then once this DLC comes out, we'll be turning back into an Elden Ring podcast. All right. Next thing that we want to talk about, and it's mostly me because you didn't play this at all.
Cool. Can I just go hang out and hang out in the living room?
No, okay, I want your thoughts on this because I know you've gotten some information on the internet of this, and basically it's my little mini Destiny 2 Lightfall review for the new expansion. I know, obviously I played this, so I'll give my mini review and my thoughts and the controversy that's been kind of surrounding the internet in terms of what the internet thinks of it, and then I know you've heard some stuff. So let me give you my review first. I think the DLC itself as a whole, great DLC. It's a new expansion, so obviously it's going to introduce a lot of new mechanics. The Strand ability, which is a new subclass, plays really well.
Strand?
Yes, Strand. STRAND.
Just ripping off Kojima?
Oh yeah, Death Stranding.
Damn.
Oh, and it's also like connecting the fabrics of.
Is this the second Strand type game?
Yeah.
Okay. Shit.
Connecting the fabric of the world that you can't see. So, you know, the architects. I didn't make that point, but good job.
There you go. Where I'm adding value.
Yeah. Finally. But yeah, the new subclass is really great. There's been a lot of crazy builds online. A lot of people are using it. There's a grappling hook, which is like a whole new blowing. You know, whenever you introduce
Halo.
Whenever you introduce a grappling hook to any game, it's like, oh my god, I want to use it everywhere and get everywhere I can. So that's pretty good. New weapons are pretty good. Some new characters that they introduced, really amazing. I do wish they had fleshed out more of some certain characters because it is kind of short. The one, and this is where the gripe comes in. So the main campaign that you play, especially if you compare it to last season's campaign, The Witch Queen, one, it's very convoluted in terms of storytelling, where like I'm not gonna say nothing makes sense, but like 80% of it does not make sense. And for a game that's all about space magic and the Traveler and the Witness and the darkness and all that stuff, you definitely want to try to make more sense. But it definitely upset a lot of people. I think A lot of people were upset, and I can see why. And like I was explaining to you before the show started, there was supposed to be 3 DLCs: Beyond Light, which introduced the new Darkness subclasses; the Witch Queen, which introduced basically one of your antagonists, where they got the same powers as you did, which was kind of amazing; and then the Final Shape, which was supposed to be the last one before they kind of went and figure out a new storytelling path. But I guess because of the pandemic and delays and all that stuff, the Final Shape isn't really going to come out until next year. That's going to be the next big expansion. And instead, they decided to plug in Lightfall. And with that, it does feel like it's undercooked. They didn't kind of organize everything. Like I was telling Nick, there's a cutscene at the beginning of the DLC, and then there's a cutscene at the end. And then everything in between that does not make sense for the 2 cutscenes that they showed. So that's a big thing. And then in terms of stakes, I think with the Witch Queen, you had a character, an antagonist that they were kind of they worked into the game for so many seasons. Like there was 4 or 5 seasons of them kind of talking about the character in the background and then slowly introducing the character. And then once they introduced the character, it was such a good antagonist, just because you got so much information and you was like, oh, this person's coming, like they're gonna be a really cool bad guy. Whereas with the main bad guy in the campaign on this one is like somebody that you already fought, everybody thought was annoying, so you were like, I'm fighting this guy again? Oh, what the fuck? And also, it's just like, spoilers, when you kill him, it's just like, okay, I feel nothing.
Spoilers, you kill him.
yeah, I feel nothing. It's just, I mean, obviously, you get to the end, and it's like, all right, that's it. That's the bad guy. That's what I got going for me. So I know a lot of people got upset, but with how much lore there is in Destiny and all that stuff, I think I'm okay with it. Like I do want a good story out of Destiny, but I don't play Destiny for the story like that. I play Destiny to shoot space guns, to use space powers, and to just do random weird shit with the clan. So that's pretty cool. I do want a good story, so I can see why a lot of people are upset. But if you take the story out of it and how bad it is, I think everything else in the DLC is really good. So shout out to everybody playing it. I know, like I said, I feel like our Discord is a Destiny Discord, and we've had a lot of activity. Everybody's been playing it. Everybody's been enjoying it. Most of it, like I said, the strand powers are really good. So that's one big thing. There is a raid that's getting released on the 10th, and I think that'll answer a lot more questions too. Just because the way the campaign wraps up, it leads into the raid. So without the raid, because it's time gated, they want everybody to be at the proper level. Obviously, you're going to miss out on a lot of the mysteries. And one other thing which I wanted to say, which also didn't help its case, was that the new ability, Strand, you would use it during the campaign, but you would only use it during segments, and you would use it for like 2 to 3 minutes, and then they would take the power away from you, which in the other expansions, you would get full use of it from the beginning of the campaign to the end. So you were actually using it. Whereas with this one, they would just give you like a little bite and you wouldn't use it. And I know the certain aspects of it were time gated, and they got so much community pushback that everything that was supposed to be released and unlocked when the raid was finished, then they actually moved it up and they released it and unlocked it like 2 days after. So they kind of caved to the pressure, but it's more of a back and forth. I know Bungie likes to listen to their audience and the community and make sure that everything's good. What about you? I know, like you said, you don't play Destiny, but you did send out an article that it was getting shitty reviews.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was shitty reviews. I think people were just, I think just kind of what you were saying around the campaign. I think there was some disappointment with the story and that. So, yeah, I shared that article around mainly just to like stoke the fire of getting people fired up about, people pissing on their game.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
you're that guy on the internet.
No, it was more of just like, hey, like this is what press is saying. Like, do you guys agree, disagree? And I think people probably have people who are like really into the game probably have a similar point of view to you, where you're just like, it's more content. I'm enjoying myself. The story is what it is, but I feel like that's kind of been the case with Destiny anyway.
But it's hard to, because it's not just a live service game in terms of you log in, it's not a Fortnite live service game where you just go in and you shoot. It's actually trying to tell a story. It has a plan.
Fortnite has a story.
What's the story?
I don't know.
Exactly.
It has one. I just choose not to pay attention to it.
All I know is that there's a bunch of IPs that drop on the island every now and then, and you buy some skins.
There's a story.
But I'm saying this is trying to tell some epic Star Wars type story, and obviously with the last expansion from this Light and Darkness saga, as they call it, which is going to be the final shape, obviously they're going to keep making more of the game. So they do want to wrap this up at some point, and then who knows where that's going to take us, because you want to keep the people entertained, but it's hard to keep such a community engaged. And I think Bobby, one of our Discord members, kind of said it, made a good point when he said like that we consume the content faster than they can create it, in a sense of like, oh shit, it's a new season, we finished the season, give us some more. And it's like, bro, we're working on that.
Yeah,
like,
in 12 months.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with that. And I think that they've done a good enough job maintaining a good level. So hopefully this doesn't deter them, and they get everything back on track.
Cool. I got 2 questions.
Yeah.
The first question is there anything that's provided in this DLC that impacts how we would think about Destiny tournaments?
No, just the subclass.
Okay,
so like it's a new subclass of new abilities to be able to do new things in PvP.
Okay. Subclass. And then the question I had before, because anytime there's new Destiny content, inevitably people will tell me to buy it and get back into Destiny.
Yeah.
And every time I was like, oh yeah, they're making all these quality of life improvements. They're making it easier for people to get into the game, and like, did that actually happen? Or is
I
there
think
anything?
It did happen.
Okay.
Just the campaign sucked. So everything that they promised, the loadouts, the world, like I think everything happened. In the new subclass, everything is good except for the campaign. And then that's the one thing that I think everybody that played the campaign in the first 24 to 48 hours was like, this DLC sucks. I should get my money back, or they should make it free or whatever. But then once they unlocked the powers fully for everybody instead of time gated, and people got to see more of the end game, or like after the end game, the extra quests that you would pick up to get more backstory and stuff like that. And they actually got to play the season, because remember, it's the expansion came out, but then you also have a season with the expansion. So that's more story, because you just don't finish the expansion. It's like, nah, I got to wait till the next season. Mm-hmm. So once they were able to finish the expansion and get onto the season, I think a lot of people's minds were changed in terms of like, oh, okay, it's actually not 100% bad. It's just a campaign that's bad. So
it's just 98% bad.
Yeah. If anything, my recommendation is, if you really want to get into Destiny, go back to last year's expansion, the Witch Queen, which I feel like was good in terms of storytelling, good in terms of content, which is still available. I think it's on for like $20-$25 or something like that.
I think I own it.
Yeah, but you never played it. All right, so if you ever get the urge to play it, but for everybody else, also I would say Witch Queen is the best expansion they've had in a while, especially how they've done everything now, where they got into a rhythm of actually doing things well. So
okay,
that's enough.
Just not the story.
Yeah, just not this story.
Okay, this one. Okay,
okay. The other stories. Yeah,
got it.
And that's enough for me in Destiny. That's the most Destiny I've talked. And I know it kind of sucks when somebody doesn't know shit. That's this guy. I'm pointing at Nick for those who are listening. Yeah. That's Nick. That doesn't know shit.
That's me.
But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. Definitely next week on the 10th, the raid releases, and that's gonna kind of open up.
How many weeks is it gonna take you to get through this one?
Well,
4 weeks.
Little side note. Somebody was asking me, like, because there's a 48-hour contest mode where you get like special things if you do it, but the difficulty is higher than it normally would, because the enemies are 20 levels over your whatever level you're gonna be. So to make it interesting and difficult. So with that, you really need like a good sized fire team, basically another 5 people, 6 in total, to be able to do it, and they have to be really coordinated and they have to be really good. And somebody, I'm not gonna say any names because I don't want to, diss them on the podcast, but they were like, "Hey, so we're doing this raid, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, but not with you, man."
Damn.
I was like, I'm gonna be very selective because if I do it, one, it's very hard content. So if you had trouble in the normal raid, I don't want to take you into a harder raid and have trouble there because I'll just be frustrated.
So toxic.
That's not toxic.
What kind of community are we trying to build here?
We're trying to build a community that tells it like it is. So I tell it like it is. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste anybody's time.
It's like the last person getting picked on a dodgeball team.
Yeah, except there's going to be a lot of people. Nope, not with you. Not with you either. No, but once the contest mode is over, because you are appropriately leveled and the enemies don't fuck you up as easy, then it's easier to do. But anytime you want to do a contest mode, you have to do it with people who listen to instructions, who can kind of figure stuff out, who you don't have to kind of guide through everything, which, it does kind of suck in the beginning, but once everybody gets used to it and everybody knows what they need to do, then I think it makes it better. And obviously with the raids, which I think Destiny does a good job of, is like everybody has a job. So it doesn't feel like, oh, just stand there and shoot kind of thing. You feel like you're part of everything, even if it has to get like explained to you. So I think they've always been good about that. And that's the problem with whenever I do the raid with some people, is that some people know what they're doing, some people don't. And then even when you tell them, it's still hard to kind of grasp. So shout out to the BBCs, Bodega Babies Click, the clan.
Yeah, so. Thanks for spelling that one out.
Yeah, gotta get it right.
I'm looking forward to the YouTube comments on this segment. But
yeah, there's gonna be a lot of hate.
Yeah, a lot of hate.
I love everybody the same. I just don't want to waste time with them. All right. So that does it for all our news that we wanted to cover this week, and we're gonna move on to some closing thoughts. For me, I just been kind of stuck in the same loop. I've been playing Fortnite, still trying to grind those battle passes. I believe I'm 156.
I can't believe, I feel like you were very much a in and out, every once in a while would play it, but you've been playing this game hard for a couple weeks.
I think it's just that pressure of, I bought the battle pass to get all this free DLC, and if I don't get all the free DLC all the free cosmetics and stuff, I feel like I wasted my money.
It's the same psychology with PlayStation Plus, I think, because when you had PlayStation Plus and there's free games to download, you're like, oh my god, content, and then and then you just download it.
But those
this is different. It's a little different because you need to
I'm just downloading them, and I'm not I gotta download them and play them.
But I think you just knowing that there's content within arm's reach, and then so
probably I will not buy the battle pass next season, so I'm not beholden to I gotta finish it, unless there's really cool skins, which I think there's gonna be Attack on Titan skins, and
they're always doing cool stuff,
so I might succumb to
unrealistic
but and to their credit, they do a good job of dividing the XP, especially towards the end of the season, so you can level up faster. Like I was saying, 2 weeks ago, I was level 50. Now I'm 156, and I got to get to 200 if I want to basically unlock the last couple cool skins. Because every basically 5 levels, I get a really cool variation of the skins that I already unlocked. So I need...
variants, man.
Yeah, man. I need those variants.
It's a sickness.
Yeah. So
I have the same thing with Genshin Impact, which we'll get into later.
Exactly. So don't judge me.
I'm not judging. No, I was empathizing.
Yeah. But yeah, so Fortnite still on that. Hopefully I get to 200. I'll let you guys know next week because the season ends on the 8th, which is Thursday, I think. So hopefully I get to it, or Wednesday, whatever. Hopefully I get my skins. And then the other thing is I've been playing Wild Hearts, still love the game. They released another patch. I think it's super optimized now, so it works. Obviously they're gonna probably release more patches soon, They're always going to keep updating it until they feel it's perfect. But I have nobody else to judge it by. Nobody else is playing it that I know of except me. So
No one in the Discord? I thought there was like a big Monster Hunter contingent.
There was, but then they were disappointed by the performance and the game that they were like,
just
we're
like I was.
yeah, we're not gonna buy this.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. I totally understand. I'm fortunate enough where like if I want to buy a game, I buy it. I'm able to buy it and play it. And I wouldn't want somebody to pony up some money and not play it. But to the game's defense, I think the patches have been good. They've been better. I have been able to do some of the hunts with people, so it's easy to find people and do the hunts with. So I think that's pretty cool. I am kind of stuck with this like saber-tooth tiger monster who's fucking me up. So I just need to level up. But basically, that's what I've been doing. I've been hunting the other monsters to get like the best katana, which is what I've been using, and the best armor.
You just love a katana, don't you?
Yeah,
That's just like your weapon in every game, isn't it?
Yeah, just give me a sword and I'll fuck shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once I beat it or get comfortable, then I'll start. Because I've tried like the bow and the staff, and they're pretty good. The staff can turn into 5 different weapons, and then the bow is pretty cool because it's not like a normal bow. It's a bow that has 2 modes where one mode you shoot like small arrows at somebody, at a monster, and they'll stack up on the body. And then the second mode is like a big powerful bow that when you make when it connects, it explodes all the other smaller bows. So it's like a good back and forth with that one where you have to position yourself, shoot them with little arrows, and then position yourself with the big arrows to do the heavy damage. So like I think that, like I said before, what sets it apart from Monster Hunter, which I enjoy and kind of makes me want to play the game because I feel like it's a different game, is the Karakuri, which you can build stuff, and then the weapons, which are, even though there's only 8 weapons, I think it's a good variety and you're able to do different things. So, and then the next thing is I think Wulong, I know that came out, I played the demo, and I'm just going to wait till I finish Wild Hearts, because Wild Hearts for me is like my single player game right now, so I'm going to play that, and once I finish it, I'll probably get Wulong.
Was that the like the current demo, or was this the demo from a while back?
No, the current demo. I played both demo. I played the demo that came out in December, and then I just played the one that came out a week ago or whatever before the game released.
Yeah, I basically played the demo of it as well, but it was the full release on Game Pass. Yeah. The Game Pass demo. That's, you're all good with.
Yeah.
Okay, we can just kind of go into mine, and I was going to start off with Wulong. Yeah, I played it for. Well, I think it's basically the demo. I don't know exactly where you got, but I think there's like one main. I think you get like 2 main bosses in the demo.
Yeah, but I only did the first part.
The first one. Okay, so I'm basically at that first boss.
The dude with the dragon arm.
Yeah. So that's where I got to. I was having a lot of. So I it's on PC via Game Pass. Really poor performance. I had to like.
That's why I'm getting on PlayStation.
Yeah. I mean, we keep talking about this, right? Like, it seems like you're better off just going with PlayStation 5 because even the potential higher fidelity that you like, even that's like, unless you have like an insane computer, it's like hard to get. But you're basically like not getting that anyway because there's always like issues. So,
well, quick thought on that. It's weird. Because I know Neo, I had Neo 1 for PlayStation, but then I ended up getting Neo 2 for PC, and it performed really well. I did get it a little bit later, so maybe like it was optimized at that point. So
and
that
I think
was
Neo
the thing.
2, didn't the PC version come out after the PlayStation version too? Yeah. So I think there was just like plenty of time for them to figure out the PC build, whereas this is being launched at the same time. So so kind of a bummer from a performance perspective. And then as I just played it for a little bit, I think I just don't like the combat when it's overly like parry.
Yeah, it's
heavy.
very parry reliant, much like Sekiro.
Yeah, and I think for the same reason that what's my From Software track record? I've beaten every From Software Soulsborne game except Bloodborne because of the frame rate, and then because of Sekiro. And I think it's because the combat. Like I think it's cool, but I just don't get real motivated to want to perfected, and so that combat system is very parry centric, and I think that's the same case with Wolong, and so I just wasn't feeling the combat system. The PC performance was pretty bad. I think the level design, just from an aesthetics perspective, was kind of all over the place, where most of the areas I played, it just looked like you're running around in a mud pit. Like, it's just a lot of brown, but I've watched people streaming it too, and I'm like, oh my god, like that looks incredible. So I don't know, maybe if I got deeper into the game, it would kind of improve from a visuals perspective, but it just didn't look great.
It didn't click for you. It didn't.
Yeah.
Want to keep playing it.
Yeah. So I got to the boss, and I'm just like, I got through it was kind of annoying because I beat him. There's 2 stages, and I like smoked him in the first stage, and then I got to the second, and I was like, oh wow, like that never happens. And then there's a second stage, and he fucking like racked me in like 2 hits. And then
I will tell you this. I think yes, the parry thing is annoying, but then you do get used to it. Obviously, it's with any game you kind of get used to it, and you get the moves. And I think once you figure that out, it's like, oh shit, this is easy. Because when I played the first demo, it was the same thing. It was the same boss. It was just in a different area, which is why I find it weird. Like, it was the same boss as the first boss in this one. That was the boss for the first demo, the only boss for the first demo. And I must have got my ass kicked like 30 times before I kind of like, okay, not like I got it. Where I was beating the first stage and I was almost killing him. And then like by the 35th try, I was able to like just get him out. So it does take a bit, but I can understand where your qualms with it, where it's like, it's definitely very parry focused.
Yeah, and I think with Dark Souls and Elden Ring, like, to me, you're always going to need to learn all the different patterns of the boss or certain enemies, but I feel like there's this way more you can like experiment and try different approaches and
And the parry system isn't as essential. Like, there is a parry system where the big benefit is you get to do a lot of damage, but it's not essential to the game. Whereas this one, it's all the time. Like, oh shit, you got to parry.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get done a lot of damage.
Yeah. So I just wasn't feeling it. And then I kind of because I just recently played Stranger of Paradise, I feel like that was like I kind of got my Team Ninja fill, because I think a lot of the mission design, like level design and missions and all that is, I'm maybe that this isn't the case, but I'm pretty sure it's the case. It's going to be pretty similar to like Neo and Stranger Paradise and whatever.
You got to have that Breaking Bad meme. They can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah, exactly.
But they do, because I keep buying the games.
Yeah. So I'm thrilled that this was on Game Pass. I could play it and concluded that it's not for me. So yeah, that's that. And then
so tell us about a game you do like.
I think it's basically a repeat of last week, where I played a lot more Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line. I think I got that.
Oh, that's
right.
the full title.
Yeah, that's the full title.
I thought it was just Theater Rhythm.
I played a lot of that. Like, it's probably the most I've ever played a PlayStation 5 game. No, that's not true. There was Demon Souls, but I think pretty soon it'll be my most played PlayStation 5 game, which is kind of crazy for a rhythm game.
Yeah.
But that really just speaks to there's just a lot of levels. It's like a ton of songs. The way that they've incorporated light RPG mechanics, there's like a replayability aspect to it as well. So it's great. So that's definitely been one of my favorite releases this year for sure. So it's basically been that, and then kind of what you were saying before around you feel like you're kind of stuck in a little bit of a loop. I'm kind of the same, but with Genshin Impact, and to a lesser degree Fortnite. But I've been playing those quite a bit. Genshin Impact just had like a big patch that got dropped, so I've been checking that out. So yeah, having a good time with that. The only other thing is maybe I played it a little bit more, but it's Gran Turismo 7. So I just started getting into all of the licenses and all that. So I've been having a good time with that.
Well, I was gonna ask you about that one. Did you like, are you really gonna fully go into it, or you might play it for a little bit, but then wait it out? So if you do get the VR, you can experience it on VR. Because I'm pretty sure, like, I'm one of those people. I don't want to redo things, so I would feel really bad if, unless obviously it's gonna be a different experience playing a controller versus VR.
No. It's a good question. I was thinking through that. My current approach is I want to play the game enough so that I have like a baseline experience of what it is to play Gran Turismo 7 on a console, and then jump into VR just so I can get more of like a before and after with, you know, or with and without a VR headset. So
Gotcha.
that's my approach. So I'm probably not gonna play it that much more, but I did want to get through some of the some of the early licenses are like, it's like super basic. Like, here's how to
Here's a Honda Civic.
turn a corner. Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, here's a Honda Fit.
Yeah.
Drive, you know, turn right. So it's like pretty simple stuff.
Okay.
But to me, it's I wanted to have this baseline experience, and I think the reason I never really got into these types of games is I eventually just like kind of bored, and my thinking, and I really do like cars and driving, so my thinking is like, oh, if I had a more immersive experience, is that something that would then get me way more excited about really sinking my teeth into a racing simulation game? Because
I think you're right with that immersive experience, because I don't like sports games at all, because I think they're just too repetitive, especially every year, like the Maddens and the NBA 2Ks. But I do like sports. I like playing sports. I'd rather play a sport or just watch a live sporting event. But in terms of playing it, I feel like you don't get that experience. You don't get that rush. So I think, definitely need that immersion.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah. Well, I did want to bring up, because you were talking about the music and theorhythm, which I forgot to mention, and I forgot to put on the notes. The music in Destiny, obviously Bungie always knocks it out of the park with Halo and all that stuff. The Lightfall music, amazing. Like, you feel like you're doing this epic fucking space battles in there. And there was a couple of oh shit moments where a couple like mini bosses surprised me. So I will say that I wish I was streaming some of it, because like when I started playing it, Keezy was like, hey, are you going to stream it? And I was like, no, because I want to focus on it. And then as soon as I finished saying that, I literally yelled, oh shit, because I got surprised by something so cool and crazy. So
you fell into a lake again, or
no?
Okay.
Somebody jumped at me and surprised the shit out of me, but it was in a cool way. So So the music is great and all that. All right, enough Destiny talk. But that's it for us. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe to us on Spotify and Apple, and join our Discord. We want more interactions. We love our community, and we want to hear from you guys. So make sure you guys are all up in our social medias and stuff. That's what the cool kids say. But anyways, that's all from us. I'm Hugo. Bye.
I'm Nick. Later.